Alright, ya magnificent bastards. Strap in, power up your lightsaber, and prepare for the worst diplomatic incident in the multiverse. Cause today, we're answering the question no one fucking asked, but everyone really needs to know. Could the Galactic Republic invade the 40k galaxy? Now, I know what you're thinking. Mate, why would we chuck a bunch of rogue politicians and glowstick monks into the galaxy where tanks have priests and the air screams? Because it's funny. That's why. And because sometimes you need to watch democracy get bodied by a fascist space church zealot to feel alive. Now, before we begin, remember to smash that like button like Palpatine's face on a marble staircase. Subscribe to the channel and click the motherfucking bell. Now, if you've seen one of my other videos, could the Galactic Empire survive 40k? You know, I threw that thing together like a grenade full of memes and spites. But this time, I'm going to try something new. Being slightly less daft. This video has got actual math, analytical thinking, estimates that aren't just me pulling it out of the warp. Shocking, I know. So treat this like a part 1.5 of the Galactic Empire versus 40k series. More grounded, more scope, still dumb as hell. But at least we know how many poor sods we're eating into the meat grinder this time. So let's move on to the main people I'm chucking together today. So for those of you who only remember the Galactic Republic from the prequels and the memes, let's recap. The Galactic Republic is a government older than most Eldar grudges. A massive bureaucracy spanning over 1,025,000 planets. Run by the Senate, policed by the Jedi, and constantly about 3 bad votes away from total collapse. Their military? Clone troopers. Millions of the bastards, growing in vats from one Kiwi lad with trust issues, then handed over to a group of robe-wearing monks and bureaucratical idiots whose tactical retreats is quoting philosophy mid-explosion. Their military power at the peak included 6 million clone troopers, 10,000 Jedi, a navy of roughly 3,000 plus capital ships, over 7 million naval personnel, and around 300,000 starfighters, depending on loadout. On an average Republic backwater planet, there was a garrison of over 500 clone troopers, 6,000 Navy staff, and orbital support assets, and don't forget their Jedi generals. Not every planet had one, but more or less there was a couple here and there. And all in all, roughly 13 million active military personnel across the entire Republic at its peak. Impressive, to be sure. Now, onto the other competitor, the 40k galaxy. Now, for those of you blissfully unaware of the 40k galaxy, it's a setting where there's no such thing as happy endings. It's 38,000 years of everything going absolutely to piss. But somehow worse. Imagine Star Wars if everyone had untreated PTSD, religious zealotry was mandatory, and your toaster could report you for heresy. That's 40k. And today, we're going to be chucking the Galactic Republic in with it. So now you've heard all of that, how about we dive in to the best part of Killer Studios, their story. So sit back, relax, grab a whiskey, and let's dive in. So, the Republic is here, and by some miracle of the Force, they don't instantly materialize inside a Necron tomb world, a demon world, or worse, a Mechanicus factory where toaster spirits scream in binary. Instead, they arrive in a backwater system somewhere in the galaxy's fringes. One of those places the Imperium hasn't properly mapped since M31, and probably misfiled under Here Be Heretics. The first move, planetfall. Clone troopers hit the ground, establish forward bases, and start rebuilding some poor feral agri-world and optimistic PowerPoint presentations about democracy. The locals who've never seen indoor plumbing or species that isn't cannibalistic stare in confusion while a Jedi tries to explain the separation of powers. It goes poorly, but it doesn't matter because the Republic actually helps. They bring clean water, food supplies, medkits, and not a single flamer-wielding priest demanding a blood tithe. For the first time in centuries, a starving village isn't being burned for sneezing at the wrong angel. And the locals, they love it. Until the nearest Adeptus Administratum Preach finds out. Now, word spreads fast. A rogue faction of well-armed, warp-glowing peacemakers preaching cooperation and non-parental government? That's more heretical than an orc making a tax reform. Cue the arrival of local ecclesiarchy strike teams. Armies with zealotry, fire, and one really smug preacher with a megaphone grafted to his face. He shows up, shouts about repentance and purity and how the Jedi are warp-touch mutants who glow with sin. The Jedi try to negotiate. That's a big mistake, because while the Republic uses diplomacy, the Imperium uses melta charges. The first real fight kicks off on a ridge overlooking a ruined chapel, now been converted into a Republic aid station. The Republic has got LAATs. The Imperium's got a preacher engine and 3 sisters of battle squads. And the habit of chanting at 140 decibels. The Jedi hold their own. For a bit. Force deflection, lightsaber spinning, clone troopers laying down suppressive fire like it's Battlefront 2 with no cooldowns. But the sisters pull out bolters that fire blessed uranium shells, soaked in the tears of orphaned children. And that shreds a Jedi mid-backflip. A clone commander radios in for backup. The response time, 3 bloody minutes. In 40k, 3 minutes is the difference between a tactical redeployment and a holy napalm funeral. By the time reinforcements arrive, the aid station is in ash, the sisters buggered off, and the one survivor is a clone medic suffering from instant religious trauma and a minor plasma burn. This is where it gets spooky. The Jedi Council begins to realize that this galaxy isn't just dangerous. It's spiritually infectious. Every attempt To use the Force is like bathing in diesel and regrets. One Jedi Padawan tries to sense the future and gets visions of himself being tortured by a laughing baby with 10 faces and a codpiece made of teeth. Meditation retreats turn into trauma therapy sessions. Holocrons start whispering in Gothic, and Ahsoka wakes up screaming in binary. Meanwhile, clone squads start losing cohesion. They're professional soldiers, aye, but this place messes with their heads. Their dreams are filled with cogboys chanting in static. And one unit swears their DC-15s keep rearranging themselves into the shape of Aquila when no one is looking. The Republic brass decides expansion, fortify, stabilize. Clone divisions are dispatched to nearby systems. Jedi-led exploratory fleets head into the void, and a Venator is converted into a diplomatic hub. Refugees from deserted hive worlds start trickling in, mistaking the Republic for the Emperor's angels. And for a while, just a moment, it works. Planets are secured, food is distributed, peace is brokered between warring feudal factions without anyone getting atomized. It's like a micro error of good feelings. So obviously, something goes wrong. Somewhere in the warp, a demon prince gets bored and glances in their direction. What he sees is hope, structure, clean uniforms. Absolutely not. A small Chaos Warband is dispatched. Just a handful of traitor Astartes, a sorcerer, and cultist cannon fodder. They arrive on a fortified Republic world, expecting soft targets and Jedi monks. What they get is clone legions entrenched like it's Umbara 2. Jedi masters waiting with sabers drawn, and ATTEs backed up by artillery walkers. The traitor marines underestimated the clones. They charge in, screaming, praising to their gods. Then, they leave in body bags and flaming wrecks. One even gets killed by a clone with a fucking rocket launcher taped to a speeder bike. The sorcerer tries to rip open our warp rift mid-battle, but one of Mace Windu's spiritual cousins force punches him back into the Eye of Terror through a wall. Republic morale sky bloody high. Chaos pissed. But just when the Republic thinks they've got a foothold, they start digging on a desert moon. And we all know that's a bad fucking move. Cue the green ominous lights and existential dread. A Necron tomb world awakens beneath the outpost. Entire battalions vanish. A Jedi turns to dust. And one lat pilot radios in. They just stood up out of the fucking sand. The Republic sends reinforcements. They land. The Necrons stare. One of them phases through a clone tank like a fucking ghost, then rips a clone commander's skull out like he's popping open a Lego set. Jedi lightsabers barely scratch them. Their guns fire green light that unmakes matter. The Jedi retreat. The Necrons don't chase. They simply just go back to sleep. Message received. This galaxy has bloody boss fights. So, here we are. The Republic has secured a small, loyal cluster of planets, beating back chaos invasions, helping rebuild devastated Imperial worlds, and learning the true meaning of everything hates you for trying. But every step forward, there's another nightmare lurking around the corner. The Tyranids, not here. Yet. The Orcs, they're getting closer. The Imperial retaliation, looming. And Palpatine, still watching, still plotting. He's starting to ask odd questions about warp energy. He's been keeping weird books under his bunk. The Jedi Council suspect nothing. But somewhere, deep in the Coruscant Sector 4, a red lightsaber hums quietly in the dark. The Republic is still standing. Somehow. Through dumb luck, Jedi discipline, clone grit, and the sheer inability of the Imperium to react to anything faster than a tectonic plate. They're carving out a foothold in the galaxy's arse end out of nowhere. 5 systems, heavily fortified, economically stable, slightly haunted, but you can't win them all. Clone patrols keep the peace. Jedi establish academies on worlds that are not currently covered in demon slime. Even some Imperial human worlds begin to defect. Not because they like the Republic, but because at least they're not being set on fire for mispronouncing Emperor. But nothing good in 40k lasts, and the galaxy has noticed. Aboard a black ship somewhere near Segmentum Pacificus, an Inquisitor gets a report. A peaceful system with a stable population, minimal psycho outbreaks, civilians smiling and not burning. Her immediate reaction: heretics! Burn it! The Inquisition dispatches one team, one Ordo Hereticus, Lord Inquisitor, a pair of Grey Knights, and 2 Sisters of Battle Squads, and an entire fleet of angry priests whose only personality trait is Flamer. They hit the edge of Republic space hard. Orbital drop pods, orbital strikes, orbital summons at deafening volume. A Jedi temple on New Camino is the first target. Now, most people think the Grey Knights are untouchable, psychic slaying, warp proof, demon bashing bastards in silver armor, blessed by the Emperor's own dandruff. But what they don't expect was a full Jedi Council waiting for them. Grand Masters, battle-hardened, war-weary. And one of them is just casually on fire now. And everyone is slightly too polite to ask him why. And when the Grey Knights land, they immediately feel the difference. The Jedi don't dabble in the warp like 40k psychers. They wield the Force, a power of stubborn wholesomeness and annoying balance. It actively resists chaos influence. For the first time, the Grey Knights face an enemy who doesn't explode into tentacles mid-sentence. They duel, silver blades clashing with lightsabers. Clone snipers pick off armored zealots from rooftops, chatting into comms like it's Call of Duty Heretic Edition. After 6 hours of non-stop fighting, both sides call a truce. One of the Grey Knights, bleeding, confused, missing a shin, mutters, "You're not demons." The Jedi reply, "You're not entirely wrong." And somehow, against literally all odds, a peace talk begins. Now here's the real kicker. While the Jedi are winning hearts and the clone troopers are handing out rations, instead of bolter rounds. Palpatine's been busy. He's been studying warp. No longer content with unlimited power. He wants something new, undeniable divinity. He's been absorbing Chaos tomes, capturing minor demons, and experimenting with rituals so vile, even the word bearers would go, "May, tone it down." And one night, during a planetary alignment, a Sith incantation involving Bloodsgoat, Force Lightning, and a playlist of Duel of the Fates on loop, he ascends. No, not into a Chaos God. That's too cringe. Instead, he becomes something other. A Force Warp hybrid entity, existing halfway between reality and the Reddit fandom theories. His skin glows with dark energy. His voice echoes across systems. His soul is half midichlorian, half Lovecraftian. And for a moment, the Chaos Gods look at him and go, "Oi! Who let this dickhead in the club?" Now everyone is interested. The Mechanicus wants to capture Republic technology and deconstruct it for toaster enchantments. The Eldar are having a collective aneurysm trying to interpret Palpatine's Force Warp presence in their skin. The Orcs just want to fight something new. They paint their mechs red and blue and start shouting, "For the Senate!" And looming above it all, a hive fleet begins slowly crawling towards Republic's base, drawn by the scent of competence and structure, a delicacy in the 40k buffet. But here's another twist. The Republic is ready. They're fortified. They've adapted. They've learned that diplomacy means less than piss in this galaxy. Because logistics wins wars. Venator-class Star Destroyers guard each system, flanked by clone-designed orbital defenses. Jedi strike teams are trained to counter demon ops. Droids are back in service, boys, now heresy-proof and upgraded to resist warp possession through sheer ignorance. And in the middle of it all, Palpatine is watching from his black throne, balancing on the edge of damnation. A Force God who gives no shits about chaos, but uses it like a club to beat people with. The Tyranid fleet arrives. They drop spores. They unleash hive beasts. And the Republic says, "Boys, it's some borrow again." Light them up. Turbo lasers burn the skies. ARC troopers drop from orbits. And Jedi generals lead clone squads into swarms with a level of cam that would make Gilliman blink. And when a hive turret descends, a 40 feet tall, chitinous armored, writhing psychic horror, it gets split clean in half by a lightsaber wielded by a Jedi covered in claw scars and spite. The Tyranids retreat. The Republic doesn't chase. They fortify. Again, they've learned. So, what now? The Republic doesn't conquer the galaxy. They don't win. That's not how 40k works, lad. But they survive. A pocket empire, a neutral zone, a system cluster where sanity still exists, where medbays actually heal you, and where soldiers don't just explode from demon STDs. They're still hunted. They're still hated. But they endure. The Jedi evolve, the clones adapt, and Palpatine, he's just sitting on a throne, cackling like a Sith Lord God while denying chaos every time they knock on his metaphorical door. The 40k galaxy doesn't understand them. It can't assimilate them. And for once, just once, the galaxy has to live with the fact someone refused to die properly. So there ya have it, ya glorious bastards. The Galactic Republic came to 40k with good intentions, an army of fat-grown Kiwi lads, and left with blood in their boots, demons in the rearview mirror, and a battle fleet held together by duct tape and prayer. But they fucking survived. Let that sink in. No exterminatus, no chaos corruption arc, no they all died off scream. Nah, they survived. They fought. They built a republic inside of hell. And they told the warp to suck their democracy. So, if you like that, chuck a like at this vid like a chaos cultist skull. Hit that subscribe button if you're brave enough to defy the Imperium. And tell me in the comments, who's next? Do we drop a Star Destroyer on top of Comra and see what the Dark Eldar think of lightsabers? Either way, remember lads, this is how democracy lives. By screaming not yet at the warp and kicking demons in the balls. Have a killing day, ya bloody legends, and I'll see ya in the next one.